Good morning, welcome to my Around the Kent Coast Cycling Challenge. It's really good to have you back this week. Really nice cycle today along the River Medway as we head back out towards the coast. The clocks went forward this morning, so that's quite nice. It's a good sign that the spring has started. The weather has really warmed up, so today should be a good day cycling with lots of interesting stuff to see. Hopefully you'll join me for the entire route. Let's get going. So the last few episodes have been going around the Isle of Grain, which was very good, but it's very industrial and very barren. So we've actually come to a crossing point, which was Medway Tunnel. So now we're going to start back along the other side of the River Medway, along back towards the sea. The start point for this week is actually Chatham Dockyards, as you'll see behind me, and we will cover in this episode. But I'm just going to pan around. We're just going along the River Medway here, out back towards the sea. We're heading on to St Mary's Island, as you see by the map behind me, and going on to the Riverside Country Park in Gillingham. So it's going to be a great episode. Hopefully you'll join me for the entire route. Let's get going. So here we see Chatham Dockyards, which is located to the south of the River Medway. It is now one of Kent's major tourist attractions, which covers 84 acres. Now this is only a very small piece of the original industrial dock. When it was in its peak in the middle of the 20th century, it covered 400 acres and employed over 10,000 skilled tradespeople. The dockyards came into existence at a time when, following the Reformation, relations with the Catholic countries of Europe worsened, leading to a requirement for additional defences. Chatham Dockyard was seen as a key part of these defences. 1567 is generally seen as the date of Chatham's establishment as a Royal Navy dockyard, with the first dry dock opening in 1581. The first ship to be built at the dockyard was HMS Sunny, which was launched in 1586. Over the 414 years of its working life, the dockyard built over 500 ships for the Royal Navy. Chatham Dockyard as a commercial dockyard closed in 1984. The closure of the dockyard was a huge blow for the area. More than 7,000 workers lost their jobs at the dockyard when it closed on the 31st of March 1984, along with another 10,000 who lost their jobs in associated industries. Today it's one of Kent's major tourist attractions, where you can tour historic warships and submarines, look at naval museums and visit the historic working ropery which still exists on site. Well worth a visit if you're visiting Kent or a local who has never been. Another interesting fact about the dockyards is that it's been used as a set for many TV and films, including Les Miserables, Call the Midwife, Mr Selfridge, Sherlock Holmes and the Game of Shadows, Oliver Twist and The World Is Not Enough, which is a James Bond film. Right, that's enough about the dockyards. Let's carry on around the river. So we've had a really good cycle around St Mary's Island. It's been very interesting. It's the first time I've actually been on St Mary's Island. I didn't realise there was such a nice cycle around it. But now we're on the eastern edge. I'm just going to pan around. You can see this is more industrial. A ship's being loaded just behind me. As I pan around further across the bay, you can see Gillingham and Rochester going along the River Medway. It's all very interesting. Now I'm just going to go back and show you a few shots that I've taken of the island. It's very interesting and give you a bit of history as I do it. St Mary's Island is separated from Gillingham by Chatham Maritime Marina. Here we can see a drawbridge being raised as a boat leaves the dock and heads up the River Medway. Across the river we can see Upnor Castle, which we rode past in last week's episode. So now for a bit of history about the island. During the Napoleonic Wars, when the British were at war with the French Empire, which was led by Napoleon Bonaparte, we took up a lot of French prisoners of war. Due to the shortage of prisons on land, there was a lot of large prison hulks which were docked in the Medway just off St Mary's Island. Now these prison hulks were in dismal condition and disease was rife, including typhoid and cholera. It is said that 1 in 4 of the prisoners died during captivity. These bodies were actually buried on St Mary's Island for many years. The later developments of the island meant the bodies of the prisoners were exhumed and then reinterred on the grounds of St George's Church, which is now St George's Centre, which stands within the grounds of the University of Medway. In 1940, during the Second World War, the island was used as a training ground for mock battles, which were staged against the dockyards. More than 2,000 incendiary devices were dropped on the dockyards during the war. In December 1940, a bomb hit a factory and caused the death of 8 workers and injured 63 others. In 1854, the whole island was bought by the Crown to be used as part of the dockyard. One of the historic uses of the island was that it was a dumping ground for nuclear waste that was generated during the refit of nuclear submarines at the dockyard. This has led to an urban myth that the island is still radioactive and residents cannot even grow vegetables. This is, of course, a myth. 1.3 million tonnes of contaminated soil was removed and replaced before any building work was begun on the island, which meant that the soil on the island has a lower Geiger counter than anywhere else in Kent. Today, the island has been redeveloped into mostly housing with a lot of riverfront properties. Redevelopment is still continuing, as you can see here in this picture. The island is becoming a popular choice for riverside living for many Kent residents. Right, let's leave St Mary's Island and carry on around the river. So we've found this really nice kind of beach area along the River Medway. It's a bit stony, a bit seaweedy, but the last section that we've just been through is the Riverside Country Park in Gillingham. Now it's really good to see it so well used with so many walkers and runners out enjoying the park. So I'm just going to kind of go back and show you some of the highlights that I saw. Riverside Country Park covers 100 hectares along the Medway estuary, including Motley Hill and Berren Grave Local Nature Reserve. There are many wildlife habitats within the park, including mudflats and salt marshes, ponds and reed beds, grasslands and shrubs, which provide a real haven for wildlife. The estuary has special protection as part of the Medway Marshes Site of special scientific interest and is internationally important for wintering birds that thrive on the invertebrate-rich mudflats. Riverside Country Park has received a Green Flag Award. This is a national standard for quality parks and green spaces. The winners are judged to be welcoming and well maintained, with the support and involvement of the local community. So let's have a look at some of the wildlife you may see in the park. A common tern, Brent geese, shell duck, a grass snake, or even a common seal. Some rarer birds that have been seen in the area include a red-backed shrike, a spotted red shank, or a bar-tailed godwit. After a long walk around the park, there is also a cafe and tea rooms where you can relax before heading home. Right, let's carry on around the river. So thanks for joining me for episode 12 of my Around the Kent Coast Cycling Challenge. It's been really exciting this week. There's been lots of interesting stuff as we went round St Mary's Island and through the Riverside Country Park in Gillingham. Next week we'll be heading on towards the Isle of Sheppey, so that'll be very exciting, going along the River Medway as we head back towards the sea. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all in episode 13.